All right, case number 6. Here we've got a punch biopsy, and the surface of the skin is ulcerated. There's some necrosis of the epidermis here as it comes into focus. The dermis is very smudgy and pink and kind of hyalinized with blood and some fibrin. Part of this is pink because it's an old pale slide, but also part of it I think is because there's a beginning of necrosis here in this kind of zone. And even though it is very pale, there are scattered eosinophils and lymphocytes in the dermis here. So changes you could see in a bug bite, but not specific in this case. But in fact, we do have a finding that confirms, yes, it is a bug bite. Actually not a bug, but another arthropod. This is a bit of tick mouthpart here. So this is this yellow refractile material is chitin, which is a carbohydrate that makes up parts of the cell wall of ticks, and which are actually arachnids, not insects. Although I guess some people use bug as a term to encompass both insect and other, creepy crawly things. So it depends on how specific you want to be about what the word bug means to you. But in any case, we have an arthropod here, and you can see a little spine sticking out of it. So this is part of the tick mouthpart that was retained and left at the site where the tick bit the patient. And sometimes we will see this persistent retained mouthparts from a tick can cause a persistent tick bite reaction that eventually gets removed by punch biopsy because the patient's had inflammation and discomfort at the site for long after the tick was originally removed from the skin, and that's because there's still some mouthparts there, and the immune system is mounting an immune response to those retained mouthparts. I find that you often see variable amounts of inflammation with the eosinophils around the tick mouthpart, and particularly in that wedge shape that's typical of arthropod bite reaction. And it does get this smudgy pink look and kind of necrotic fibrinoid looking dermis. So if I ever see bug bite reaction with this smudgy pink dying kind of area of dermis, I'll often cut deeper and look hopefully to find a tick mouthpart on the deeper sections. So if you get lucky, you'll find one, all right? And anytime you find a fragment of arthropod, the next step is figuring out what type of arthropod is it. If it's, embedded at the site of an arthropod bite reaction, then that's more likely a tick mouthpart. If it's bigger than this and down in a hole, down in a cavity in the deep dermis or subcutis, and the patient traveled to Central America, then it's probably a botfly larva. If it's made of arthropod parts and it's a massive lesion in the foot underneath the epidermis, then that might be tungiasis. If it's a small little lesion in the stratum corneum, then that might be a scabies mite. So you have to look at where the arthropod part is located, how big it is, what the clinical scenario is, and sometimes also take the travel history into account. And then you can figure out where that arthropod, what type of arthropod you're dealing with. And the other thing is occasionally I found arthropod parts that have been contaminants, basically, like especially on a large chronic ulcer. I've sometimes found, or on top of an ulcerated like skin tumor, I've seen sometimes little bits of arthropod that got stuck in the crust. So that's another time you can see arthropods microscopically that probably are not what's causing the problem in the patient. So whether those are like fly larvae, maggots, or little gnats or other environmental small insects that got stuck on the oozy surface of an ulcer, those are things also that could sometimes come in the differential. But in this case, it fit for tick, and that's morphologically compatible with the tick mouthpart.